if you have this, but like I'm feeling like I have some sort of superpowers with static electricity at the moment.
What?
Because like, you know when it's really dry, or like for me it's specifically in the winter, because I'm wearing like more fleece type of material.
Okay.
Like when you rub like your hand on your shirt or whatever, like there's static electricity.
Oh, I was like, what are you? I thought you were talking about like you just had superpowers. I was like, I don't believe you at all.
But no, but like recently, every time I stand, because I wear socks everywhere I go at home because I'm really cold. We don't have centralized heating here in Hong Kong because we just don't need it most of the year. It's only like 2 or 3 months out of the year that it's like cold. And even then it's something like 10 degrees Celsius, or like lowest it'll go is 6 degrees Celsius. And so everywhere I go, I wear socks. And then if I step on like a wire or something, like just now I stepped on the lead that goes to my light and it just like blinked.
Did it zap you at all, or was it just like...
No. I didn't feel a thing. It just blinked.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Very weird.
I like, it happens sometimes. I feel like it happened a lot when I was a kid, but like I can't tell you the last time it happened, and now that we've talked about this, it's gonna happen to me like within a few days. So I'll text
all
you.
the time.
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Well, should we get into it?
Yeah. All right, let's get started. So, hello and welcome to the Fingerboard Brew. My name is Annie and I'm here with my co-host Evan.
What's up? I'm Evan, and thanks for tuning into the podcast. If you don't already follow us on Instagram, we're at the Fingerboard Brew, and then the podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as YouTube if you want the video version. So make sure you're subscribed and following us on all those platforms as well, so you don't ever miss an episode. So, Annie, what tea are you drinking today?
Oh, switching it up. I'm drinking peppermint again.
Okay. Wait, I thought you said you switched it up. Oh, do you usually ask me what tea I'm drinking? Oh, man. Guys, this is like episode 7, and we still don't have a uniform intro, and it's my fault. You're still drinking peppermint tea?
Yeah.
And I'm still drinking...
I only drank peppermint tea once before.
Oh, okay. I think I've in total had 2 different teas, and this is the pomegranate tea from before. So I need to be more original with this, but I don't know. So what are we talking about today, Annie?
So in today's episode, we wanted to talk a little bit about progression and fingerboarding, and I think kind of on a similar wavelength to last week's episode. I don't think this is a topic that people discuss quite often, whether, like, I don't know whether it's because there isn't a very productive way of discussing it, or whether people just don't want to talk about, like, how they've improved or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good topic, and it is something that we really don't talk about a lot, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it's because it's always about being the best. Like, I think in fingerboarding, or just like in any sport or anything where there is room to be the best. I don't know whether it's because of that or whatever, but I really don't ever hear people talking about progression. We always only ever see what a person's like best clips are at that specific moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and it's one of those things that it just takes a really long time to perfect, just like anything else in life. So, yeah, well, where do you want to start off?
Well, my notes are all over the place, so...
Well, give us one, and we'll go from there.
Well, so I think I was scrolling on Instagram the other day, and I was just thinking about how I very occasionally see a throwback story post from someone where they show how they weren't good back then in comparison to how they are now. But that's like the closest thing I've ever seen to progression in fingerboarding. Because I know there are YouTubers who skateboard, like skateboard YouTubers who do my 2 years in progression in skateboarding. And they show like how much they've improved over 2 years, and then they react to it. Or it's just like a video showing how they've progressed. But I don't really see that in fingerboarding. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I definitely don't. And that's actually a really good point, because I have watched those YouTube videos before for skateboarding, but I've never seen that in fingerboarding specifically. But yeah, I don't know. I think when I look back, I don't know if I have necessarily progressed that much over the past few years. I think I kind of hit a limit. How do you feel about that? Do you think that do you think that you like I feel like it's really slow at first, and then it's really quick, and then it slows down again.
I think like,
what do you think?
The best a person can do is different for each person. And I know that sounds like a very not like an answer to what your question was, but it is, because I feel like I've hit the peak of what I'm ready to be like the best at, if that makes sense. So like, and it's so stupid because I can't even heel flip, so, or like nollie heel or anything like that. So like nowadays I think those are thought of as the more basic of tricks, maybe, because everyone always assumes that I can nollie heel and heel flip or whatever, but I absolutely cannot.
Heel flips are so hard. I can do them, but they're ugly. Like it's my whole arm going forward to heel flip. Like, yeah, so like I'll do it in a game of skate, but I won't do it for video part because that's just ugly. I can varial heel and laser flip, but I cannot just do a straight heel flip. Like it's...
Yeah, so I can varial heel occasionally. Like if I try to varial heel, I can probably varial heel in like 3 tries, but I can't do a straight up heel flip.
Yeah, for my casual encounters video, I did a fakie big flip tail 270 kickflip out. I actually got into that fakie big heel tail slide like probably every 3 or 4 tries. It was actually the trick out, the trick that I'm used to. That was the harder part. So like I am way more consistent with my heel, like my varial heels, than like my varial flips for whatever reason. But like for a straight heel flip, I can't do that. That's difficult.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I don't know what it is.
I can maybe one day we can Skype and I can see if I can teach you my totally terrible method for getting an ugly one, and then because like I'll do them like I'll sit and like just try to like just move my front finger. It's impossible. I don't know how people do that and make them look so stylish and tweak them and all that stuff. Like that's just not.
And you get fingerboarders, so like kind of circling back to what you were talking about, like you get to this peak and then you sort of level out. I think the way you can go from that leveling out to peaking again is you have to try even harder.
Well,
and
yeah.
Well, and personally, I'm not prepared to try any harder.
Well, there's I think it's a mixture of two, but I want to see what you think comes more into play. Do you think that some people are just naturally more talented than others, or do you think people just like put in more time and work, or like do you think it's both?
Well, I think it's a bit of both. I think if you was it last episode where we talked about like people who drum and play guitar you would think are better at fingerboarding. Yeah, it was last episode.
Yeah.
I think if you do other activities like playing guitar or whatever, where you have to use your fingers like quite limberly, is that the word?
Limberly. Be more dexterous, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, be more dexterous. Yeah. I think it's easier for you to get better at it.
Mm-hmm.
But if fingerboarding is the only thing that you do, then I think it's harder to be better at it. I also think it depends on when you start. So if you start fingerboarding at 18, let's say, that's when you like just start college, right? And you probably have a lot less time to practice. Whereas I think when you're a kid, when you're like 10 or 12 or even 14 years old, you have a lot more time on your hands, in my opinion. I know the 14-year-olds will come for me and be like, I have so much homework. And it's like, yeah, but also like your homework is more forgiving at this point in time. I'm sorry to say, but like it's hard. It gets harder. Like,
yeah, no,
it gets way harder.
If you think life sucks at 14, you just wait.
And yeah, like, do you know Ridge FB?
This is such a trend on the podcast. I feel terrible. You're like, do you know this person? I'm like, I don't. And then I go see them afterwards,
it's okay. It's okay if you don't know him. But I think he's like maybe 14 or 15. I'm sorry, Ridge, if you're listening to this and I totally like made you lower than the age that you actually are. But he's ridiculously good.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine how good he's going to be when he's my age or your age. Because he can do freaking crazy tricks. And same with this guy, Pizza Slice FB. He's sponsored by Beast Pants. And both of their tricks are just like insane. And I don't understand how.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I met a dude on a Zoom meetup for fingerboarding during quarantine, and he was like, his Instagram is Dams FB, and he's like, again, like 14 to 16 range, and just like unbelievable, like shreds, consistency, everything. Like, and it's just like, I didn't have that at that age, and I don't have that now, and I fingerboard a lot. So like that's why I think sometimes some people are just naturally better. Like, it just makes more sense for them. Like, I don't know. I also feel like I kind of missed the boat in some aspects because, like, I rode super tight trucks for the longest time and only practiced kick flips and tray flips. So now it's like I can't do nollie tricks because it's like teaching an old dog new tricks. Literally.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I think, like... So, you ski, right? Or you snowboard?
Yeah, I snowboard.
Yeah. Okay, so... Well, I think it applies to like most sports, but specifically in my head, it's skiing, snowboarding, skateboarding, or anything with a board.
Mm-hmm.
I just burped. That was really gross.
That's gross. How could you? No, I don't.
Hashtag girls burp too, but for anyone who's just listening, Evan and I just made shocked faces at the screen.
Terrible.
But
this is going in, so this is another reason why you should find the video podcast. Anyway.
Well, yeah, watch it after you listen to it.
Yeah, so
just do it again.
Exactly. Do it twice because yeah, that's what we're going for. Now, anyway,
so I think generally, if you learn how to ski or snowboard at a really young age, it's way easier because your center of gravity is lower. And then you, like, as you, like, get taller, you learn to, I think it's just got to do with, like, how, I'm sure there's, like, if anyone is, like, a neuroscientist, they're going to be, like, what the fuck are you talking about? But, it's like how muscle memory works, or how like your brain and muscles like interact when you're a younger age versus when you're older. And maybe that doesn't apply 100% because the guy who runs Slush Cult, he's only been fingerboarding I think like a year and maybe less, and he can do a ton of tricks that I couldn't do in a year. he learned how to nollie flip already. He learned how to like do a ton of tricks that I can't do. But I think it's the same thing as what you were talking about. I think it was because I was obsessed with getting my tricks clean. So I was obsessed with getting ollie, kick flip, tray flip, shove it super clean. And I think the way you're supposed to learn how to fingerboard is like learn how to do your tricks sloppy first.
Yeah.
And then learn to clean them up.
Well, it's funny because that's exactly what I did, and it was a tremendous waste of time because I still can't kick flip clean. I still can't tray flip clean. I still cannot pop shove it. But, like, I don't know. I think that's true. I wish I would have just, like, focused my time on learning the entire Rolodex of tricks instead of... That's an old word. Rolodex?
Rolodex. Where did that come from?
I have no idea. Because I was trying to think, like... Lexicon is for words, so I wanted a synonym, and I was running out of time before it was time to say the word, and I just came up with Rolodex. I don't know.
Rolodex.
It works. You got it. It just made me look like a geezer. Yeah.
Anyway. But yeah, so I was just talking about beginners, and I guess like this is a perfect segue to one of my other points, and that is I feel like there's a lot of weird hate towards beginners who post their clips, and maybe it's not like when they post a clip, it's not the most clean, or they might not be landing properly, but that's their best clip at that moment in time. And I don't understand why people don't just like hype them up rather than tear them down. It's like people want to shame beginners.
But that comes from insecurity over their own tricks. Like they look at people who shred and then their tricks aren't as good as that, so then they need to shame someone who's less good than they are just to feel gratified in the situation. Like I can fingerboard better than that person, that makes me a good fingerboarder, you know? Like I think that is where that comes from personally, because I see that sometimes and it's like, who cares?
Like, okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think would you prefer to have better style or more tricks? Like as a beginner.
Oh, as a beginner, probably.
Or like intermediate, let's say.
I think that's a good point. I think right now I've kind of accepted the fact that I'm not going to be like nollie laser flip guy, and I would rather have better style. But I think when I started, I really wanted to be nollie laser flip guy, so if I could do nollie laser flips. So I think it depends on what point of my fingerboarding career you would ask that question, but right now I would say style. What about you?
I would say kind of just what I was saying earlier. I regret trying to perfect my style over learning new tricks. Because
okay,
but yeah, and I wish because I think I think style is something that comes naturally, and it's something that you can perfect over time. Like there's no rush to perfect your style, whereas tricks, it's like you get to a certain point, like you have to keep learning them, otherwise you're gonna run out of tricks. Like I find myself running out of tricks really quickly because maybe I'm not imaginative enough and I'm being lazy and I'm not thinking, but like I would like to say my style is better than my tricks now. And I almost wish it was the other way around, because I know like if I have like a ton of tricks now, I'm going to be better in my style later on. Like, so in hindsight, you know what I mean?
Like, do the tricks first and don't. That makes sense. You do have, like, crazy good style, though. Like, it is... I can't fingerboard like that. Because, like, I didn't really know that style was much of a thing when I started. And, like, I never really focused on it. And now it's too late. Like, I would have to relearn. I'm, like, just learning how to, like, catch my kick flips shifty and then bring them back down. And, like, I can catch my tray flips with my front foot. But, again, like, I can only pop a tray flip this high. If you're listening to the audio version, that's, like, a 3 inches or how many centimeters? 6 something? I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway. And... I think that, like, I always wanted to do front foot catch tray flips just because that's how they did it in skateboarding. But other than that, like, I didn't really focus on, like, tucked versus untucked. I'm still not 100% sure what that means. But I don't know. I just don't. Is it like...
For those who are just listening, I'm showing him. I think... So there's tucked... So some people fingerboard... Doug from Fingerboard Workshop, he does his, so he has his fingers every time he does a trick or every time he lands, it's always like this, and then like all his fingers are pretty much tucked in, and I don't know how you fingerboard like that. I just don't get it. Untucked is sort of like you land like this. It was like the trendy style of fingerboarding, I would say. Is untucked for the most part. It's like...
Gary Chin went to the last rendezvous, and he posted some clips, and someone commented like, oh, dude got that untucked style or something like, and then Ronnie Exotica was like, dude, that's Gary Chin. And ever since that comment, I was like, it doesn't matter which way you fingerboard. Like, you can be a great fingerboarder, and you don't have to have this, like, amazing style. I don't know, like, that stood out to me for sure.
I think it depends on how you look at it for skateboarding too, but I don't really know enough about skateboarding to make that like call. Like, does style matter in skateboarding? Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, so I think that's where it carries over. So like, you have to be good. Like, the style factor comes in because people want it to look really cool or make it look like when they landed it was like no big deal or whatever. And like, it's just like, I don't know, like, you know what I'm talking about, like with the trendy style of fingerboarding, like how like Jesse Braun and Sam Maroney, like how they fingerboard is, I feel like what everyone wants to be, or at least like a lot of the Instagram people nowadays want to be like. And I know some people who hate like tucked, and I'm just like, I don't think it matters too much. Like, I was also very obsessed with, like, I love Sam Maroney's videos. I love that whole crowd and how they ride, but I'm not going to try and replicate their style because it sounds so stupid, and it sounds, I want to say self-righteous, but I don't think that's the right word. But I think I have my own style, and I think everyone just has their own style.
Yeah, and absolutely.
You can have people you look up to, and you can have people that, you enjoy watching and want to be just as good as, but to shit on other people and how they ride or how like their style looks, I think is dumb, and I don't understand why people do it.
Yeah, I want to touch on the skateboarding thing real quick because I know a perfect example, and I'll send you clips after the podcast. But there's a skateboarder named Jeff DeCesare. He went by Jeff One Song, and this dude like quadruple kickflip to 12 stair. Like, he has like he's done some crazy stuff. He can like 360 hard flip like on a skateboard, which is crazy to think about. But like when he skates, he kind of skates like this. Right? So everybody makes fun of him, and they're like, oh, he's whack, hold your breath flip, this guy sucks. It's like, no, he doesn't. He ollies off roofs. Like, just because his style's not good, that makes him a less legitimate skater. And that's a huge thing in skateboarding. Where, like, so I think that culture carries on to... Now, it's different now. Like honestly, like, even within the past 5 years, that has completely changed. But, like... that idea and that mindset carries over to fingerboarding, and I think that's why so many people are focused on their style, is because they don't want to look like, if you have better style, it almost makes you seem like you're a better fingerboarder, which just isn't the case. So yeah, that's kind of where I think that comes from specifically. But
yeah, and here's the thing, I don't think either of us are trying to be like, if you prioritize style, you're dumb. But like,
no, yeah,
just don't shit on other people is what I'm saying. Like,
that's
I know some people who like, they ride really steezy and like for fingerboarding.
Steezy.
And it's very like it's like the trendy style. And and it's funny. I think it's funny that we all know what I mean by trendy, like the trendy style anyway, because we're talking about one specific style that is it's only trendy to that crowd. Do you get me?
Yeah.
To like one specific crowd, but we all know what it means. And like maybe let's say for example someone can only do they can only do all variations of a kickflip, so not varials but like switch, regular, fakie, nollie, okay, of kickflip, shove it, and ollie, and like maybe a 180. So like they'll do all of those tricks in different combinations, and somehow the video looks like perfect, and it's like wow, this is so good, and it's because of their style. So I don't like, and that's great, but why can't we feel the same way about people who can land a ton of tricks, different tricks, like someone who can nollie heel, and it might not necessarily be the cleanest thing, but they definitely lock in. And like, you know, when you first fingerboard, like you sort of like land everything. Oh, shit, like I just touched my mic, but you land everything like this.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't know how to land
smack down to the table, and you're
smack
so
it
happy
down,
it happened.
and it's like this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is a very visual episode. I feel very bad for audio listeners.
We neglect our audio only listeners sometimes. We're like, oh yeah, if you're listening on audio, don't listen to this. Like,
yeah, but you land weird, and well, not weird, but you just land a very specific way. So what? But like the trick is insane. Like I couldn't do it. So why do we crap on them? Like, shouldn't it be valued the same way? Well, I feel like this episode is turning into is style more important or are tricks more important?
Well, here's the one thing I will say though. I think we let the bad outweigh the good in this situation. I would say that the people that care about that are such a small number of the people in the community. But since it's negativity, we focus on it. And I just want to like shed light on the fact that there are like so many people that don't care about style. You know, like they're just interested in the progression. And like that's the thing. Like I sometimes, to bring it back to progression, I almost feel like sometimes I'd rather watch someone who's not necessarily a stylish, amazing fingerboarder, but like watch something that like you can tell they put effort into and they tried a really long time on, versus like someone's quick ledge edit with like nollie heel, nose grind, nollie heel out, but it's like every other trick's nollie heel. So it's like, yeah, you have the best style and the better tricks, but like if you're only doing 3 tricks, like it's almost like it's not as much work and effort you put into. There's nothing wrong with that, but like if I'm personally gonna like really enjoy something, like I follow fingerboarders who aren't like amazing whatever. I did air quotes for our audio only listeners. I feel like I sounded like a jerk right there. But yeah, I don't think that it's, at least personally, I don't think it's all about the style. I really could not care less. I like watching good style. I have a follow-up question with style, but I think personally it's just way more about the tricks. But would you feel comfortable answering, who do you think has the best style in fingerboarding?
That's so hard. I mean,
because,
like the go-to answer I think would be Samaroni, just because that's who anyone would say, or like a lot of people would say, I feel. But also I don't think it's fair to just say one, like, because when I think of style, I think of a very, and this is just me maybe, but I think of a very specific type of fingerboarder, and like I said, it's the trendy fingerboarder. But I think it's unfair to just have one person, mainly because there are so many different types of styles. Like, that's fair. But what do you think?
Well, okay, let me rephrase the question. Who has your favorite style? Because that's a great point. It's not it's apples to oranges. I hate that comparison, but it's like that's the saying. They're not the same thing. You're not really comparing the same thing. I personally think, like, my favorite style to watch is Nico Frank. Like, hands down, in my opinion, best style. And he always has, and I will never understand, I'll never understand it. But that's true. There are a lot of people that would argue that Samaroni or, like, different fingerboarders have better style. So you're right. So let me ask, who has your favorite style?
Okay, we'll put all, like, Samaroni and everyone, like, in a separate, like, they can go somewhere else.
Out of here. They're the elites or whatever.
Bye. And that includes Jay. I don't know how to say his last name. But he's in, like, all the Fingerboard collection videos, and he works for Flatface or at Flatface. I don't know. He's really close with Mike Schneider. That's all I know. I don't know how to say his last
Jay
name.
Lenahan or
That's
something?
it.
Yeah.
And I think he has really good style. I love his work. Amazing. Also, Nico Frank is insane.
Yeah. Crazy.
The first two that come to mind are Andrew Hill and Valentin Lieber. I'm so bad with names. Yeah, I don't know if I'm even saying it right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. I know Andrew Hill has, like, the meanest 3 shows in the game. They're amazing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I really like, I think he has, like, a good mixture of, well, I don't think he has a good mixture of anything. I think he has his own style, and I also just generally really like his videos in general. So, yeah, I don't know. But right now in my head it's Andrew Hill and Valentin Lieber. Also Marby Princess. She's also a skateboarder.
Maybe. I am not sure if I know who that is.
Okay, she is really good.
Okay, I will look this up. I feel like I should start taking notes of all the different fingerboarders you told me to check out. Yeah.
Leave in the comments, either, like, you know, when you make, if you're on Apple Podcasts, I think you can do reviews or something like that. But if you're on YouTube or if you're on Apple Pod, comment a fingerboarder that you don't think Evan will know.
That deserves a follow, and I will check
Yes.
them out. And if you're listening, I guess you can leave a review, but if you're on the audio only, we have this great idea. If you came over and watched the video version, you would be able to comment on our YouTube page. So, yeah, no, shout them out, or go to our Instagram and whatever post we made for this episode, because we would love, we want to, Annie and I love seeing good fingerboarding, and it doesn't matter progression or skill set, or, like, I mean, trick bag or skill set or style. Like, we just want to see progression, you know, like, and so
you can't tag yourself, though. You have to tag someone else.
Don't tag yourself. If you comment, we'll also check out your page, but don't tag yourself, because that's anyway. That's it. That's a great point. People do bring their own unique style to it, and it's not just like a culmination of all these different people. Like, I don't know. I kind of
well, like, here's the thing. I want to, because I feel like we've been very, like, I think PC is the wrong word, but very, like, everything is great, like, and it doesn't matter. I will say that the tucked style is just not for me. Like, I look at it, I'm like, huh? And I won't ever try doing tucked, and I just don't personally like trying it like that, and it's not really something I aspire to doing. But, you know, people like it, and I'm amazed at the people who can be good at it.
I feel like that I feel like we do kind of sit on the fence sometimes when it comes to specific things, but I do personally, for tucked versus untucked, I have no preference. Is that lame? I know. I feel like
Well,
I'm just like
I'm
not
taking
making.
a stand, Evan, and I'm saying I don't like tucked.
You know what? I'm saying I do like tucked, and now this is gonna be a war. So go to the comments. No, no, I don't really. I just want to watch good fingerboarding. You know, if
Yeah,
you laser
like I
flip
said,
into a nose
it's
grind,
about like if I see someone's like really good at tucked, I'm not gonna be like, ugh, like that's
yeah,
ugly. Like I'm not gonna be like that. But I know some people are like, tucked is so ugly. Like they should not be fingerboarding. Blah blah blah. And I'm just like, can you do the trick tucked? Because I can't.
if you laser flip into a nose grind, I like that's what I care about. I don't care whether or not your fingers were bent when you did it. Like I just want to see amazing fingerboarding. I don't care about
Exactly.
yeah. So well, no, because you took a stand. So
well,
I don't know if you can agree
okay,
with me on that.
I don't care what you do. I just don't personally enjoy it.
Gotcha. No, that's fair. I mean, everybody has their preferences too.
As in, like I wouldn't. It's like not something that I personally aspire to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I personally don't do backside feeble grinds because I think they look ugly. So, yeah, there. I'll give my only opinion on this podcast is that
And Doug from Fingerboard Workshop, if you're listening to this, I'm not saying I don't like your fingerboarding. I'm saying I don't aspire to that look, and I can't ever aspire to that look because I can't. Like I just don't understand how. And
Annie, you have made so many enemies on this episode.
many.
I think you're gonna get a lot
but
of
Doug
DMs.
knows he knows I love him.
We
like
love
he
you,
must
Doug.
know I love him.
It's we'll figure it out. We're sorry if we offended you.
So I was just talking about Valentin Lieber, and I really picked the wrong person like to talk about, but he is a perfect example of someone who we see getting the craziest trick, and he always lands them perfectly. Mm-hmm. And Evan, you said you never heard of him, so I'm gonna send you clips. I'm sending you his Instagram after this.
I'm sure I've heard. I shouldn't have said I haven't heard of them. I'm sure I've seen clips, but I know I probably don't follow them on.
I think he's friends with Nico Frank for sure. Like he's part of that crowd.
Gotcha.
But there are definitely a lot more people out there who are obviously amazing, like my buddy Mitch, Mitch Rush.
I do know who that is.
Okay, like what? And also he does card tricks, like for like magic tricks, like card magic tricks, and that definitely helps him.
Oh yeah, totally.
For sure. But anyway, Valentin made a post one time where he basically just I think it was on his story where he was saying he doesn't get every single trick he does first try. Like he has to do it over and over again, and sometimes it takes ages to get it right. And I think maybe he also did like a bit of a disclaimer about like this is progression. Like he didn't start out being amazing at it. Like everyone starts somewhere, and he just wanted to make a disclaimer being like it takes time for him to get it perfectly, and I wish more people did that.
Yeah, and because shed light on progression.
Yeah, and just shed light on the fact that what we see is the clip that made it. Mm-hmm. You know, like we see the clip, we don't get to see every single attempt. My friend Jared also was from Sponsor Me Tape. He did a live stream where he showed everyone, well it was like sort of like I would call it a behind the scenes video, but it's basically like him filming a session live. So like he has his phone and then he like films him doing the trick, and I think that's the closest you can get to seeing how much effort goes into an edit. Because,
yeah, unless you're physically there. Yeah.
And like most of the time he does the trick like maybe the third time. and it's like flips into grinds and then flips out or whatever, whatever flip it is, which I will be the first to admit, like, I can't get every single flip trick into grind first try, and I definitely can't get it flip in, flip out first try either, or even the third try. Like, sometimes it takes ages, like maybe the 10th try even.
I know I've talked about this on the podcast before, but the ender for Apollo was a 270 kickflip nose blunt down a kink rail, and that took me 2 hours and 15 minutes. Like, yes, that's the hardest.
Like, you talked about this last episode.
Yeah, like I'm going to keep talking about it because that was the hardest thing I've ever done on a fingerboard in terms of like the effort that I put into it. And yeah, it doesn't even look that cool. I had a friend tell me,
but it's a cool moment. Like,
the worst thing that ever happened was before I put the part out, I sent it to an unnamed friend, but I know you listen to the podcast, and I know you know who you are. Told me that it didn't count because I locked my truck on it for like half a second before I got into the nose blunt. So it was technically like a back 180 over crook to nose blunt, but I don't care. It took so long.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever.
But like, it's all about the moment you get it though. Like, I think what you do, if I remember correctly, is once you land the trick at the end and you just like throw your fingerboard.
It's done.
Yeah.
I was done.
Like, that is also like a moment that you can see, oh, someone like worked really hard to get that trick. And it could be something really simple, you know, for that was not a simple trick, but like it could be something very simple for like someone who might not be as good as you. It could be what's a trick that I can do? An ollie into I don't know the names of tricks. An ollie to 5-0 and the kickflip out might seem very easy for a lot of people, but for a lot of others it's not. And it might take them a really long time to get it. It definitely took me a very long time to get that right and then be able to do it consistently. Or if the truck is like, if it's like this, can you see? If it's like this,
yeah.
What's that?
Wait. Oh, like, wait. Can you bring it more to your finger? Or did you ollie? Was it in front of you or was it behind you? That would be a front of me. That's a front Smith.
Okay, so I can do 5-0, like ollie to 5-0, or ollie to Smith, kickflip out, almost every time now. But in the past, like, it took me forever, and I would get really hyped on it. But I also know, and I still get this insecurity where I'm like, oh, this looks like such a cool trick. Like, I'm so happy with this trick. But then I'm like, oh, but there are people out there who are better than me, and they're going to think I landed it weird. Or, like, it doesn't count. Because of the way I landed it. But that is the cleanest I can get it in that moment.
Yeah.
Or that's the cleanest I can get it at this specific stage of me fingerboarding. Yeah. I feel like people need to understand that a little bit more.
Yeah. I do. I'm going to go off on another really quick tangent, but the ender I was talking about before, the varial heel tail 270K flip out, that one took a long time too, and like that exhaustion that you feel after you put like that progression in, and in the video you can see like I put my head down and I cuts to black real quick. I was wearing a hat that said "Make Sewers Great Again" because it was like something my dad got on like a business trip, and I wore it to like keep the hair out of my eyes while I was filming, and I didn't want people to think it was a MAGA hat, so I cut it to black, and that is why that happens. Oh. I didn't want any controversy, so I cut it because yeah. I mean, like, I feel like you could probably guess how I feel on that whole situation, but I'm not going to say it.
We are not a political podcast.
We're not a political podcast. But I think that my Black Lives Matter bracelet makes my stance on the Trump presidency pretty clear. Anyway.
Exactly.
Anyway.
But this kind of circles back to like another note I wrote down, but there are a lot of people who I think say if you don't land a trick a certain way, it can't count. It doesn't count. Or I've heard some people use the term, like they're like, oh, this the way I landed it is like illegal, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And I don't get that because, well, I get the illegal thing, but I don't get like why we're so caught up with how other people land it, especially if the other person isn't as good or isn't like to the standards that we might put ourselves at, you know? Like if I know, okay, say like Evan does a trick and I'm like, you could get it cleaner though, because I know how you fingerboard and I know how good you are. So I'm like, I know you can get it cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
But if I see a beginner do a trick that they normally can't do and they land it like maybe clumsily or whatever, I'm gonna hype them up. I'm gonna be like, oh my god, that was so good. It's like that moment at a skate park where like someone will land an ollie or land a shove it, or someone will land a 50-50 and then ollie out, like ollie to 50-50, ollie out, and people around them are like, yeah, because that's how good they can be in that moment.
It's all about the effort that you're putting into. Like it's not like you like and the other thing is we've all been there too. Like I mean, people who can kickflip, we've all been there when we landed our first kickflip and that feeling. And then so seeing somebody else accomplish that is huge. And yeah, it's just so much better, I feel like, sometimes to watch someone progress than to just watch someone at the final stage of their fingerboarding. But to talk about what you said, I should start having my fingerboard with me when we do this podcast, because this is like the third time. I'll do it on this iPod Nano 6th generation, the one with the touch
what a
screen.
relic.
It was my mom's and it's pink and I love it. I at the beginning of quarantine used to play a lot of games of skate against Ben Dulac, and I mean he would land like this, like his finger over the edge, like barely, and he would be like, it doesn't count, like I can't do it. And like he'd let me get away with stuff like that, but like for him, like he's so good that if it's not landed perfect, he will either redo it or like, I mean, like he would do the craziest stuff 4 times in a row, be like, oh, I gotta get a redo, land it again, oh, I gotta get a redo, until it was absolutely perfect, and then that was his set. And like I can't fingerboard on a level like that. I've never been able to. I don't think I will ever be able to. Like,
yeah, so he was just setting himself to a standard that he knows he needs to set himself to, but he won't like impose that onto other people.
Yeah, which was cool. Class act. I love that boy. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
But
and
yeah.
And also I just wanna acknowledge for a second, because we've been talking about this topic now for like 50 minutes. But I want to acknowledge for a second that fingerboarding for most of us is, unless you're a business owner, it's like a toy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I understand that for a lot of people, myself included, it is a very important part of our lives. I'm sure Evan will agree, because he literally has a bunch of ramps on his wall.
If you're listening to the audio only version of this podcast,
but like we do take it very seriously, and sometimes it feels a little ridiculous. And I think sometimes we just all need to take a step back and be like, hang on, there are more important things in life than getting caught up on someone not being to your standard of good.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, it's almost upsetting sometimes to see like how seriously people take it. I don't know. Like you can be serious about the hobby for yourself, but don't put that on other people. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
and people progress at different rates too.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, there's, you know, and maybe that also comes from skateboarding. I mean, like, skateboarders do not like scooterers. But, like, I think what that stems for is, like, skateboarders don't like scooter kids. And so they attribute that to all of scootering, which it's like, I don't know. I don't scooter, but, like, I saw a dude backflip El Toro on a scooter. Like, so I can't just sit here and be like, oh, scooters suck. Like, that's insane. Like, I've seen some of the craziest stuff. I have friends in the fingerboarding community who scooter. Like, you don't have to just, like, hate on things because it's trendy. You don't have to hate on untucked style because, like, I don't know. I think it just all comes back to just being insecure about your own fingerboarding. Like, I am perfectly secure in my fingerboard talents, and I don't go around hating on anything. Like,
yeah.
You just don't have to do that. So,
like, I'm both secure and insecure. Like, I'm insecure in the sense that I'm like someone else will land it better than me, or someone is going to complain about how I landed this. But, you know, other people will know that this is the best that I can do it. And that's what matters to me. Like, I'm hyped on it, so other people should be hyped on it too. That, like, if I think there was like one, there was a video, I think it's Harumi, it's called Harumi in HD, that I uploaded, and I kickflip, I don't remember what I flip into, but then I heel flip out, and it's the ugliest freaking heel flip ever,
but it's a heel flip.
But it's a heel flip, and I did it. Or, like, there's also one time I did a varial heel out, and it wasn't accidental. Like, I actually tried to do it, and I landed it, and I was so hyped. But obviously, like, no one mentioned it, because, like, no one mentioned, like, oh my god, she did, like, a varial heel. And I'm not saying, like, people need to, but for me, it was such a big deal. I was like, oh my god, I got this trick. And also, it took me like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know, back to the whole progressing at different rates, and not everyone has to continuously progress. Sometimes you just, like, hit a point where you stop, and I mean, I think that's okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, it goes back to, like, I'm secure in my fingerboarding. It'd be nice to nollie heel and hold my own in a flat ground game of skate, but, like, it's just not that important to me. I feel like at this stage, there was a point in my fingerboarding where it was, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because, like, I'm an old man now. I'm old for fingerboarding. I'm a geezer.
You're literally younger than me. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And Nick over at Luxario Wheels was like, oh, sometimes you guys talk and it makes me feel old because you guys talk about it like it's the good old days. I'm like, well, for people our age, I think we're pretty, like, we feel like the older part of the Instagram crowd, I would say. There are definitely people who are older, but
I think over 20 is, like, the cutoff, and then, like, over 30 is the next cutoff, and, like,
yeah.
I don't know. So, like, we're young for the 20-year-olds, but we're old for the community, I guess. But
we're in, like, the middle ground.
So, what did you have anything else? That's all my notes.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say, as, like, a good final note, that just to sort of bring this whole episode to a close, if you're a fingerboarder, you're here to have fun, and I think that's the most important thing. And don't listen to anyone who tries to give you hate about how you fingerboard. If you have certain political views that are not quite right, that's a whole different conversation. But just for your fingerboarding alone, like, don't listen to what other people have to say about it, because it's about how you progress. It's just, like, take it at your own pace. Like, I know for a lot of people that fingerboarding is a really big part of their lives, like I said earlier, and that's okay. Just don't let other people rain on your parade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. Just do it for you. Don't do it for anybody else. Like, that's the most important.
Just have fun.
Yeah.
And let other people have fun too.
And love everyone. And brush your teeth.
Yes, brush your teeth.
So is that everything we wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I think that just about covers all of it.
All right, well, thank you everyone so much for watching. We are currently uploading every week, but that is subject to change, so we'll let you know when that happens. We're going to go to every other week. But if you want to hear more from us, definitely check out the Fingerboard Brew on Instagram. We post like a lot of behind the scenes and clips and outtakes and stuff. It's a ton of fun over there.
Yeah, we're just at the Fingerboard Brew. And if you want to check out any of our other episodes, remember we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube for the video version.
Yes, and we're sorry to our Spotify and Apple Podcast listeners this episode. You guys are the unsung heroes of the podcast
really had
world.
to listen to us gesture.
and yeah, but we appreciate you guys as well. So yeah, thanks for watching.
Thank you so much for listening.